From the moment we take our first breath, we begin to learn a very powerful lesson. This lesson is reinforced dozens of times daily, hundreds of times weekly, and thousands of times monthly. The lesson learned is this: crying brings comfort. If something is not quite right, a felt twinge of hunger, a small abdominal cramp, a strange damp, smelly feeling in one's pants, just cry, and the world responds, and I am comforted. You may be very small and inconsequential, but a cry or scream can change your environment, and others will respond to you. Not only will your environment respond to you, it will respond very quickly. We grow up learning and expecting that a cry or scream will produce an immediate response, and our discomfort will be resolved. Felt discomfort, cry, expected immediate comfort is the mindset of the infant and child. It is more reflexive than thought out and is frequently reinforced. This infantile worldview is appropriate for an infant. After all, an infant needs some way to communicate with its world because an infant is completely dependent on having its needs met by someone else. The infant is confined to an incubator of dependency, and for the infant, this is very appropriate. In the New Testament, in the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 11, it is written, "The prudent man looks and considers well where he is going. When I was a child, I spoke and thought and reasoned as a child. But when I grew up, I put away childish things." Take time to consider where you are headed and what are your expectations. Where is your life leading you? From within this incubator, the infant cries out with expectation. Someone feed me. Someone change me. Someone hold me. Someone notice me. Someone take care of me. This dependence on its external environment is necessary for the infant to survive. There are no issues with the infant thinking this way. Its survival depends on this incubator of external support. A problem, however, arises when this worldview persists into adulthood. To reflexively cry for external assistance or help is necessary for the infant, but to do so as an adult is destructive. In infancy, the incubator of support is necessary for survival. In adulthood, to continually cry out for external support becomes a prison of dependency. With maturation should come increased resiliency, and with increased resiliency should come greater independence and less demand for external support. There are many components of the infantile mindset that will be addressed in future chapters. The element being considered now is the demand for immediate comfort from the infant's external world. The infant is powerless to provide self-comfort. Comfort is not only required from the environment, but there is also a demand that the comfort is provided right now. You cannot avoid turmoil, trouble, injustice, or anguish. It is a very real component of everyday life. If you live with the infant's mindset that all of your discomforts will be fixed by someone else, you'll be severely disappointed. To demand immediate comfort as an adult can be dangerous. What gives you comfort, you become dependent on. Be very careful as to where you place your dependency. There are lots of easily available quick fixes in our modern world, such as medication, alcohol, drugs like opioids or stimulants, intense activities, relationships with the demand that someone else make you feel better about yourself, distractions such as microprocessor use, sports, and hobbies, gambling, or just overspending. You do have the ability to choose what you depend on, but you do not get to choose the consequences of that choice. Be very careful. It may be true that just one piece of cake, one sip of alcohol, one cigarette, one dose of drug, and so on will not cause a lifetime of consequences. but the belief that it will not is likely to kill you or leave you paying a very high price. I believe this mindset of demanding immediate comfort is what is behind a lot of the problems we see in our current society, such as failed rebound relationships, morbid obesity, escalating problems with alcohol and drug addiction. A demand for immediate comfort often leads to a life of chronic discomfort, anger, and despair. What is one to do when the resilience tank has run dry? Is there something you can do when every cell in your being is crying out for immediate comfort, crying out for peace, crying out for less pain? First, do everything possible to not react out of discomfort. Find the pause button and push it. Take time to reflect and write down a description of the trouble. Just pausing will help you rebuild some resilience. Step back and look at the issue from a distance by asking yourself, will this issue matter in 6 months or a year? Or will it even matter a month from now? Don't panic with issues that will not matter in the long run. Consider the options you have. Be creative. Write the options down and don't forget to write out the consequences of those options. Be honest about the consequences. Ask for help. Getting someone else's perspective can help lessen the discomfort and uncover more productive options. Relying on one another for increased perspective is important and helpful. It is not the same as depending on someone else to solve your problems. Learn to function with contentment in the midst of discomfort. You'll never get all your troubles sorted out. Increased resiliency comes from being strong and content in the midst of turmoil, not by sitting on a beach having all your needs met by someone else. Grow up. After all, it is your life. Live deliberately and not reflexively. Be patient amid trouble. For additional information and references, please see the Fractured Resilience website, and for updates of future videos and podcasts, please subscribe to the Fractured Resilience YouTube channel.